February 2020. We are here to do your updates for your psychic reads as well as any astrology I need to enter into the video if I feel it's relative, or any psychic downloads I've had, I'll be adding them. Now, yes, this month we do have Mercury going retrograde, so you may find that some of these things will relate into technology, communication, the way you're looking at things. We're also going to be having that happen, let me check that date, 15th. Okay, so it's going to be on the 15th. We also will have Mercury in Pisces as of the 3rd. Now that can be deeply spiritual in a sense that when it does come to, you know, all these aha moments and people from the past potentially coming back, yes, this can be relevant. We're also going to be having Venus in Aries, and that can be a very interesting placement. Really check in with the way you're operating, because we're also having Juno going retrograde, which is going to be in Libra. So those of you that are Libra, the way you're operating within connections and collective energy, really making very crucial judgments when it does come to our relationships, our contracts, our partnerships. And especially with the Capricorn frequency coming through, the way you're going to be navigating the matrix for those situations is going to be quite unique. Now, I will get into your reads, Zodiac by Zodiac. Yes, do look at your sun, moon, rising, and potentially even your Venus house, because at times, yes, because I'm a psychic medium, some of these energies may be playing in different aspects of your life, so it may directly relate. And again, I will say a very warm welcome and thank you for subscribing, sharing, and commenting. And if you do have a question, do place it in the box directly below and I will respond back to you. Into your read. Goodness me, Pisces, a very warm welcome back for February. So we are here to do your read. This will be both intuitive, psychic, astrological, and cards. Now, I have sat here and tuned into your energy, and there was 3 songs that come through. Your energy does feel semi-fatigued at the moment, even tuning into it, so apologies if I start yawning. Now, a lot of times when a medium does tune into energy as such, it can be a person in your environment that might be quite exhausting. It can also be in general that you're tired, or that you are dealing with toxic people, not through your choice, might I add. And also it can be a purgatory effect where you're releasing an energy from the past, and that would make sense because there is a lot of 12th house activation with you. And this is very, very spiritual, where you'll have a lot of downloads, you'll feel directly connected to source, you may be having dreams as such. But you'll also, and pay very close attention to those dreams because they may have some cryptic messages in them for you. It can also be a time when you engage in spiritual practices, such as, it can be tarot readings, it can be, you know, your own spiritual practice. This can also be really worshipping your soul, especially with the Leo moon coming through. It's almost like very similar to, you know, the Cancerian energies. Very hard and protective on the outside, but marshmallow energy inside. It's all about the inner nurturing of the energy, you know, the inner strength versus the outer strength and the outer mask, in which we all do use. So there can be something on the internal that you're going to need to look at, and this can be something that's coming up through these songs that have come up for you. One of them was Ed Sheeran, Lego House. And it can be an aftermath of a situation. It can also be just in general a very reflective time in your life that we've entered into a new decade cycle. And yes, we're in the 2nd month already. And looking at things and where you were versus where you're going now and what that's all going to mean. Some of you physically may have moved home, especially with these songs coming through. Some of you may have moved away old energies and really had to take quite a brunt of responsibility when it did come to certain things. But I do feel new friends coming into your world, and it can feel quite unique. You know, some of you may be really embracing it, others of you might be feeling a little bit more reserved than usual and not really wanting to have people, you know, step into your kind of energy, especially with the 12th house activated. So you might want to go into hermit mode, you know, due to some things that have happened, and really have a little bit of time of quiet. But I don't feel this is a personal thing. I feel this is just a time where you may be needing just some R&R here and there during the month. And again, deeply reflective because of the 12th house. Now, the next song you've got is You're Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone. And I was like, okay. Now, this could be in relation to a person you left. It could be in relation to a person, people in general. Especially since Mars is in Capricorn and that's your 11th house. And that is connecting with friends, clubs, aspirations, etc. So, yes, it can be in certain areas of your life. But this song may, again, it's the Cup song. You're going to miss me when I'm gone. And I can't remember who it was, but I'm sure feel free to write it down below and you can all update me. But this song was coming through as well. And there was also Coldplay, Fix You. So the energies again can swap. So this could be reflective of how you were. It can be deeply how you are feeling right now. Or it can be another energy's opinion about you altogether. It's going to fall where it falls. Now, with your first house, you know, really pay attention to your routine this month. Really have a look at with the sun energy coming through. It is, you know, with the things you're going to have to achieve, because it is the yin and yang. We've got the yin and yang in all of us as males and females. So in the hunter-gatherer mode of the energy, your day-to-day life, your working life, you know, it might be all down to you. You might be multitasking at a very high level, and falling in your first house, it's how you see yourself versus how other people see you. And I'm also hearing ask for help if you need it. You know, allow that humble frequency. And it may be where you have asked, but people are misconstruing and misinterpreting what you're saying. Again, with the Leo moon, it is hitting on the area where something might be coming up to be rectified. And again, this is in your health routine and your day-to-day environment. So it can be the home where a solution to a situation is coming full circle or already has, and it's closing out and beginning that new chapter. So these things also, it's changing it so that your day-to-day routine is completely different. But you know, if for those of you that where there are energies moving around, it can even be in your direct environment. What you may find is old people moving away from you and new people directly moving in, and you taking a new approach to the situation, and maybe taking a little bit more time to get to know the new energies that are coming into your circle. Romantically speaking, again, it falls in Aries, and this is your Aries and Chiron placement. So both at a Venus level and your Aries and Chiron for the next 8 years. It is with your finances, your security, your change in material resources. So again, there are a lot of changes coming, but potentially again, there can be triggers, emotions very much connecting into a home environment, the assets that you have. There can be things that are going to need to be replaced that potentially may have been connected to a previous connection. And I am seeing an item of technology that may actually need replacing, and it's because of the placement of the 11th house with Mars. Be careful of not breaking things. Try and be cautious with them. Stay with your P's and Q's, especially with the 11th house being activated, and we will be having Mercury going retrograde. I would say even from the beginning of the month, be super cautious, because our cognitive ability, especially with your 12th house placement, you might be a little bit more accident prone. There are also, I do see an energy around you where you may be travelling. Now, it doesn't have to be that it's happening this month. And, you know, we do sort of recommend that during a Mercury retrograde, you be cautious with your, you know, your actions and how you're travelling. It's more the short day-to-day routines than long-term travel. But some this year, and even potentially this month, I do see travel around you. And I do see it to be a different way of actually looking at things. I feel, especially during a Mercury retrograde, you can't stop living. So if travel is required, it's more being very mindful of these things, making sure if you need travel insurance, you have that. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is more from an astrological and psychic, you know, download. So making sure you've got your documents in order. There also can be some areas where you do need to fill out paperwork and really do be quite mindful. And there also can be some things where if you've had a contract, so to speak, subscriptions, i.e. magazine subscriptions, newspaper, etc. Dark ages, but hey, some people still do. Things to that degree. I'm seeing something where it needs renewing, so pay attention to those things. I'm also seeing some of you on the precipice to make a decision when it does come to an old frequency, an old person that was in your life. I'm also seeing with family, be really cautious this month. Because, yes, especially because Mercury is retrograde, but again with the placements within your astrology, it's like a double whammy. That's what I'm saying. It's a double whammy, so people can actually have more crosswise, especially those of you who are Pisces, when it does come to the communication factor. That might be a text message that hasn't come through. It could be anything to the degree of he said, she said situations going on, and it's really not a very positive time to be, especially with Mars being in Capricorn. It's really taking accountable energy. And there could also be some extra responsibilities that are placed on your plate this month. I also feel with the cards coming through, you've got the Ace of Air of your crowning energy, and this could be relating into a direct air sign. It also, in a sense, can be something in your overall energy where something that was up in the air for a while is really coming to you more from a spiritual sense of an understanding. Again, with the 12th house. And again, understanding that not all communication is words. 90% of communication comes through direct body language. So again, it might be something that you're looking at, especially inside a person, and you're assessing it and trying to make a decision for yourself. Yeah, really seeing the truth of a situation. Now, it's really funny because these cards I was thinking about 3 days ago. And again, your sign this month is quite psychic and happened to move a few things around and located them. And these were the cards that I'd used for many, many years. But I don't directly need cards. If I'm tuning into you as a solid energy, I generally will tune in and channel your direct energy. So over the years, yes, I've developed it differently. But really, the energy coming through at the moment is... it's almost like these light bulb moments I see you having, again, especially with the 12th house. It's very psychically in tune. It's very much where you're sensing, smelling, and all your senses are super heightened. And it might feel extremely strange for those of you who aren't used to this. In general, something that you waited for, I really do feel it's going to come out of nowhere. And this might have already transpired where it's moving through into February. And just, it does feel like there's a complete shift in your reality and the people around you. Those of you that are flowing quite well within a connection, and this is a very early message on in the piece, I am feeling more it's external energies around you that might be in question right now, where there are cross wires, there's misunderstandings. But I do feel very separately, before I get into your romance house, there is an energy surrounding a partnered energy where there may be something happening on their side of the fence with their family, and it can be quite a dynamic situation going on. Also, for those of you that are tuning into a particular person, and I don't feel this is a romantic interest, and they've really been playing out on your mind, I do feel there could even be communication about this. And I feel heart-to-heart conversations, but be very careful how you proceed forward, because this person may be slightly sensitive and may take things the wrong way, but there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. Just be very mindful of that. It is through heart and emotion where you're coming from, but I do feel after the fact potentially this person will return and sit with you quietly and actually speak with you, but it will be on their terms. I feel that if you're going to try and approach something, I just feel this person's finding it's coming out of nowhere and they're not quite ready to talk about things, so it's in its right time when it's ready. The next card you've got coming through, and again, when I do pick each card, then there will be additional messages. I feel you've got the King of Water. Now, especially when it does come to family, when it does come to your emotions, when it does come to people that you had invested in the past, I feel you're reflecting back and you really did come to it and to give the best you could. You did the very best you could. But I do feel some sort of shade energy where it hasn't turned out or hadn't turned out the way you had anticipated. I'm also seeing where you gave to others not necessarily have the expectation that they will reciprocate. Now, hear me out on this one, because I do feel it's almost like you didn't expect a particular person to let you down. And this, again, is an old energy. Not necessarily that you had an expectation, but they had showed themselves to be such a reliable character that it really did quite surprise you that this person wasn't as reliable as you felt they could be. So this has come to a real surprise. But you definitely, through this process, have changed. But it may bring up some wounds this month. You may have felt that it really held you back in life and you had to change directions and change your approach with this situation. This also might be something that has held you quite in protective mode, especially when it does come to letting people in, so to speak. I don't feel to the external world you're showing this vulnerability. I do feel it's some situations bring it out, but it's more so on an occurrence inside you. And I'm also saying be very careful with tummy aches, because it can be stress induced, you know, that old scenarios pop up, and, you know, it almost feels like a sore tummy, like an ulcer, with scenarios that pop up and nervousness. This could even be the person you were directly connected to. It doesn't even have to be your energy. You could even be thinking about a past tense person's energy and how they were with their health. But I do feel, again, it to be deeply reflective. You've got the Ten of Earth. And again, it moves from air, water, and then straight to earth. And I do feel really the key to this month is keeping extremely grounded. You know, to reach everything you're wanting to achieve, especially with it being a 10, I do feel as long as you take the Capricornian energy, you know, on board and really do keep as grounded as possible, I feel you're going to get the best start of the month. And they are favourable outcomes. It is going to require you to be super organised. It's also going to require you potentially even to jot down what you need to achieve. And just as you go, tick off one after the other. Do be very careful about who you're asking for help. Make sure that they're coming with integrity. I do feel people around you are going to work quite well, but I do feel that you're actually, and again, I have been saying this from the beginning of the month, there is potential this month, and I don't know why the energy is so strong, but this can be, for some reason, a very fertile month. And I'm also seeing for many, if they do conceive on this month, and that's whatever zodiac's on, I don't know why it's coming through, it's really strange. This can be creativity in a sense of planting, harvesting, and reaping what we sow. But it's more feeling on a creative level, what's ever being removed is like a clean canvas so that you can create upon that. But for some of you, this can denote actually pregnancies, and I am seeing sun energies. This also could be something to do with a sun, if you do have a sun. Okay, there could be, again, another venture that you enter into this month. You might be working in a team environment, again, at a very collective level. This can be, in general, really picking your tribe, picking who you're working with, and it can even be some advice that you're giving to a particular individual. I do feel providing you work with the environment, again, you will get the best out of the situation, but there is a potential that somebody, you know, is being a little bit manipulative, maybe a little bit jealous, trying to take a bit too much of your time. But again, it's like you're going to have a hunch if somebody is taking you for a ride. And again, yes, the energies can swap, But at the same time, providing you are working with the right team and you're surrounding yourself with the correct people, I do feel this is going to be positive. I'm also feeling to be careful of a friend. There's a particular friend here that is coming through that isn't as, they show themselves to be one way, but I don't feel they are in general. And I feel your intuition is aware of this, so you're going to be assessing it. But I am feeling a lot of new energies coming into your world. In your health, now I have 4 cards in different areas and we'll get tucked into your reading. Now, when it comes to your money and your health, again, be very careful. With your work, with your money, you do have the 2 of air. Now, some of you may directly have 2 positions come through. Others of you feel this situation, or you're looking at money, but then you're having to work, you know, and wondering how this is all going to come about. It can be a business venture that you're trying to actually invest in, but it feels like 2 major areas that directly need looking at. Now, this can be a bunch of paperwork and very, very hard to achieve during Mercury retrograde, so my thoughts are with you if you're trying to achieve that. If there's a delay, I would say wait, you know, get what you can get done. But at the same time, don't spread yourself too fine. Any problems that arise, jot them down. And then for future reference, you're going to have solutions moving forward. I have to be careful with this because the computer turns off. I'm going to pull a clarifier on that because I am feeling the energy where you may actually need to get external advice. I mean, the clarifier that was pulled is the Hermit card. Again, you might feel fatigued. Some of the situations might be out of your hand, but at the same time, it might be that you really need to meditate on it, sit on it and wait for 2 weeks after Mercury retrograde. And I do feel, you know, it's not over. It will finalise, it will sort out if you're waiting on documentation and paperwork to come, especially if you've been waiting on loans or, you know, business investments and things to that degree, especially since it is in work and money. I do feel these areas are going to kind of work quite well. I am seeing, for those of you that are applying for jobs, again, I keep hearing there's 2 potential positions. There could be potentially even a 2-week wait, so don't get too upset, especially with the M coming up on the neck of the Hermit card. I'm feeling this is to do with Mercury, and this can be a change in employment and a change of finances coming in for you guys. Now, when it comes to your family, you've got the Ace of Fire. This can be where a change of plans comes about. There is also new opportunities, and I'm feeling for you or a family member, this denotes career achievements. So there can be a family business that comes about, or just in general, the family is working very well together. I do feel for a particular individual, especially with the towers in the background, there can be a person that comes from afar. And this can be between the next 2 moon cycles, I'm saying. I'm hearing the song, Let's Give Them Something to Talk About. So, you need to pay attention to songs this month because I'm getting so many songs. I could literally do this whole video on songs. I'm feeling a very cocky energy coming through. This could be your children. This could be a sibling. It could be you. However, this attitude has gone from one side of the scale to the other, which is very Mercury, especially in retrograde. You know, it can cause distortion in the way we communicate. I'm just saying. It's almost like if they had been down, they're up. This can be, again, how you're feeling, you know, up and down with the energy, trying to achieve targets. Could be the way family had been potentially for a while. There can also be some passionate conversations. But there is a huge change, and I do feel a person from overseas actually coming to visit because there are some kind of temples here, which does denote Europe, I feel, or of an ethnic nature of some shape. this is going to be quite unique for you, and it is going to create a fresh start. But in family and the people you mix with, you might be mixing around a fire sign and an air sign quite a bit. But there's lots of changes happening in your family, tribe, and your friendship groups. Now, your direct environment and your health. You have the Ace of Earth in reverse. Yeah, again, I'm hearing there are delays when it does come to things, and this can be affecting your health. So if you've been waiting on finalising documents, some of you it might be wills. Whatever this paperwork is, if there's any delay, could even be for a doctor's appointment, you know, if you're having a specialist appointment, there can be some delays on this. This card is reversed. It's not saying it's not going to occur, and it's not saying that everything won't balance out. But I am seeing a 2-week window gap where, you know, after a situation, there will be, I'm seeing 7 to 14 days, and then things do plateau out and you do feel more grounded within the month. But there can be a time where you are feeling quite delayed. You might feel a bit guilty that, you know, oh, is it because I did X, Y, and Z? Is it because I moved house? Try not to worry too much about it. But again, I do feel this to be more research and really hunting to the bottom of why things are playing out. Can also be how do I put it? Not miscommunication, but misinformation, or lacking in information and more research. That can also be diagnostics. I don't know why this is coming through for your sign. Very interesting. Do tell me how it relates. What you're not seeing. Again, spiritually speaking, you have the 8 of Water. There might have been an emotion that you have been dealing with. And again, this is 8. This is so ironic. I'll read the card to you. Now, Chiron is an Aries for you. Let's have a look. Chiron is an Aries, which means for you, this will be for the next 8 years. The card is an 8. It's also emotions. And I do feel from the moon energy, and each moon phase, I do feel for the next 8 months there may be a thing that comes up. And yeah, there's the potential of evolving through these scenarios, but I do feel it's a turning over a leaf in it, and it falls in the second house, which is to do with your assets, your resource, and it can even be your accommodation. In general, the way you look at the past versus the way you're looking at things moving forward. Aries is a very assertive energy. It could be the type of frequency that looks directly at it. You know, when it was in Pisces, your own sign, it was deeply spiritual, but depending on how you were in your mindset, it could have been deeply depressing. So, you know, hoping that everything would get better, but feeling that direct vibration. So it's a different vibration to experience and a different mindset to see it from. It does tend to stay in Aries a lot longer, potentially, because it has more work to do in that area, in that first house. But being in the second house for you, especially with this unseen, it's directly stating that, yes, you might have had a repeated story you had in your head about life. But from this point moving forward, I do feel there sort of feels like there's some good luck coming your way. And I think if you reflect back, you may reflect back differently to what you had before. And I did put that in my community post last month, where I was directly talking about the fact that if you look at songs from the past, potentially in 2017, and now look at the songs now and see what sort of genre you move towards. If you've done spiritual work on yourself, and if you've grown, you'll find you don't relate to the old songs. It's really stepping into your own frequency, and it's also the unseen is letting go of an old story and the emotion surrounding it. This can even be a past tense person, be it they're alive or passed over, and making peace with that situation so you can proceed forward. Like attracts like. So the more grounded you are, the more grounded of an individual you will directly attract, even if it is a particular person. Now, your crowning energy in your romance house, again, is Earth. In relationships, you may have found either there was a set way that things were done. It might have been that you were the home person or you were the hunter-gatherer. It's a paradigm as per se. I'm not stating this is the case. But I do feel it's a shift in your perspective, especially with the Cancer Capricorn nodes that had been playing out. A lot of that frequency is coming through. Time to buckle down and get things done. Honour your commitments. Again, it's in your mind's eye. You may feel you need to achieve certain things, especially on your side of the fence when it does come to relationships. You know what you would need to do and what you have a need for inside a partner. Again, I do feel this quite grounded, quite rational. Especially reflecting back on how things were in the past versus how you feel now that you need those things. And I see it to be deeply transformative. You do realise that some of the ways you looked at relationships might have been based on one set of belief systems, and now when you do look at yourself inside connections, your needs, wants, desires are very different on this occasion. Now, in the past, you might have found that this person was immature. Again, when it does come to communication and the way they articulate, they might not have been a deep communicator at all. So really, it left you to interpret and tune into potentially what they were thinking over actually hearing the throat chakra of what it was. Again, some of you might even not have communication at this point, and you're finding this energy to now be immature. Now, this person is returning, but they're not returning in the format for those of you that are single, because the card is in reverse. And again, with how they were in the past versus how they are now, again, it's not, although it's a page, it's how they were before is being shown to me is not who they are today. It's very different energy. They do come bearing gifts, so this can be a person that is going to put money into a situation. Potentially in the past you may have invested in them. This might have been you giving more than you were getting. And again, I'm saying more, it's a more balanced frequency coming through in general. Now, in romance, you have Page of Air. And it's odd because both of you, both you and this person, sort of do see your communication versus their communication. It's like it's really left these thoughts in your mind. And I'm hearing unsaid words. This can be while you're in the connection or while you're not, but there's unsaid words. There's things that are up in the air. There's clarification that needs coming through. There's comprehension of this, and there is a slight delay. It's coming through very quickly though. You could be really moving towards a certain direction, doing something, and it comes out of left field. I do, and this is in the month of February. This is more a current tense energy and moving forward energy. If there's been crosswise with you guys, I do feel the guides are assisting this person, and I do feel they're moving into Emperor energy. But I do feel universe this year, there is a lot of luck when it does come to your romance house, especially with 4 coming through in a vibration, because 2020 does connect in with the way we're mixing with tribe members, relationships, connections, contracts, especially with Venus being in Aries. You know, it's really looking at our wounds of where we've stood in front of ourselves and seeing how we can directly move forward. Just be really mindful with Venus and Aries, and you know, we're lucky that we have Mars and Capricorn, because it really does pull it back, especially with Mercury retrograde. If you're communicating with anybody at a romance level, at a relationship level, this can be children, it can be with your co-workers, being extremely mindful because Mercury will be retrograde. Let's have a look. And Mercury being in your first house, again, I'm finding it to be really deeply reflective. Yeah, don't get to a point where you may regret something you say. If this has been a regret, again, I'm feeling a home-related dynamics coming up. There can be a move of home. There can be you being quite protective of you. Quite protective of your vessel, quite protective of your heart. A home, I keep hearing home environment. Some of you need to move home so you can have a romantic connection. Some of you, that is your direct belief system, because you've got home at the heart of the reading, falling on the Emperor. Archangel Michael is helping you with this situation. Some of it's to do with finances. Again, when we're manifesting anything, what you do need to understand is, you know, when we're thinking of something and saying to ourselves, we can't do that because of X, Y, and Z, you're better off to actually think of what you want, do what you can, and detach. As soon as you start going into what you don't have and lack, it actually blocks. It blocks any manifestation or physical movement or solutions to come to you. It's blocking us down to the pain body experience, which is the egoic mind. And generally that happens when we're trying to think of how we can solve something. And when we're really in that loop, you need to take a little bit of a break. Once you do, and you release and say, I need this, I need that. And then detach and just do what you can do on your side of the fence. I feel this is going to balance it out. There is a person, for those of you that aren't in communication contact and you know, you're just doing your thing, this year, and especially in February, there is a huge opportunity for an emotional return. And this person is really going to speak about how deeply, deeply they regret. They wish that you had waited for them. Sadness of how they directly made you feel. The anger that also they felt towards themselves and you may have felt towards them. And again, I'm just hearing like a lot of explanation. There's a lot of explanation in this situation. They know that they had a choice, and they also feel that, you know, for those of you that are single, there is a choice here. You're free. But you need to come into this energy with this communication coming in quite lightly, that you can have you can have an openness to absorb what they have to say to you. Okay, if you really work well with this individual, I need you to be really tuning into that, because this person in the past tense position, it's recommending that you go ahead and just do it. Again, only you can know whether this is, you know, correct for you. Also with the beaver, it's very hunter-gatherer mode. It does remind me of trying to pull some things together, trying to adjust your direct environment, deciding where you compartmentalize things so that you can move forward or walk away from a situation. That's the way it's coming through. Freaky. Okay, foresight. It's going to give you more clarity. You will be able to see how this is going to pan out. You have giraffe, foresight. You are able to see what is in store for you in the future. You can't make this up, because you've even got eagle spirit as the outcome. Trust your higher self. And I did say 12th house Pisces. Intuitively speaking this month, I highly recommend that if you're feeling you need to do particular things and it's within your power, do such. Also, really form that great relationship with your internal gut instincts. I'm also feeling you need to be looking at your health and your routine. And I'm hearing downsizing. Now, the downsizing can be something as simple as putting books and clutter away to simplify your life, especially since it falls in your day-to-day routine. Mercury is going to be going retrograde. You know, reduce the clutter so that it can actually make your life flow more effectively. It also does assist with you bringing in new energies and new ideas into your spare. What was the other thing? Be really, really cautious with your communication this month. I'm also seeing, as I mentioned before, there may be an electrical item between now and June, July that may need replacing. And if you know something has been holding on by a thread, be it a car, be it technology, I'm feeling this is more long term. It's wear and tear you're going to notice on an item. It can also be something that you're wanting to invest in between now and that time, like paying it off or, you know, a commitment to it. Just signing of contracts can be a little bit more risky around this time. It's not saying don't, it's just saying read the fine print, keep your receipts. Best advice. If you are wanting a private booking, you can go to the link below. Love and light, guys. I'll see you during the month.